Hi, I'm Petty Officer Ron Flanders. Join Petty Officer Candace Lee and me on Navy Marine Corps News. This week we'll follow the Chief of Naval Operations as he travels around the Med meeting sailors and Marines. We'll take you to Jacksonville, Florida and show you why sailors are big fans of the Jaguars. And Cyber Sailor puts on his party hat to help you travel on the internet. These stories and more on Navy Marine Corps News.
This week on Navy Marine Corps News, we'll follow the Chief of Naval Operations as he travels around the Med meeting sailors. We'll take you to Jacksonville, Florida, and show you why sailors are big fans of the Jaguars. And Cyber Sailor puts on his party hat to help you travel on the internet. These stories and more next on Navy Marine Corps News.
Hold on. Okay, go ahead. You're watching Navy and Marine Corps News. Don't turn the dial.
I don't know about you, Candace, but when somebody like Tony Baselli tells me to keep the dial tuned, I'm not touching my TV set.
Okay. Welcome to Navy Marine Corps News. I'm Petty Officer Candace Lee.
And I'm Petty Officer Ron Flanders. Topping the news this week, Secretary of Defense William Cohen recently ordered all the military services to conduct a 24-hour safety stand-down on training flights. The Secretary ordered the stand-down to ensure all who fly and maintain U.S. military aircraft are given time to focus on the goal of making flying as safe as possible.
Well, I think safety stand-downs enable us to put ourselves in a situation that other people have experienced and really let us think about what we would do in that situation. It keeps people from growing complacent. I think if you see what other people did right or did wrong in a situation, you can analyze it and think to yourself how you would handle something. I think they're important.
The U.S. military has made continued progress in aviation safety over the past several years, and 1996 was the safest on record. In spite of recent accidents, 1997 is expected to be very safe as well. In fact, the Navy's on track to conclude its safest flight year ever, thanks to a systematic decision-making process called operational risk management. This process helps flyers and others to make decisions better and safer. The Marine Corps also uses operational risk management as part of their aviation campaign plan, which has had a significant impact on decreasing the aircraft mishap rate. Candace?
Ron, you know, stand-downs are just one of many tools Navy and Marine Corps leadership uses to stress safety in everything we do, not just for aviation. Safe training is vital to keeping sailors and Marines ready for the mission.
That's right. The Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Jay Johnson, recently visited some forward deployed sailors and Marines at bases and ships in the Mediterranean.
He let them know how important their mission is and how they're contributing to our forward presence. Petty Officer Monica Hallman has that story.
Glad to have the CNO on board today, and looking forward to serving this outstanding meal. Give him a big hoorah there, Corporal.
The same enthusiasm shown by MS-1 Timothy Weathers and Corporal Joseph George Hawley of USS Kearsarge was evident around the Mediterranean as sailors and Marines welcomed Chief of Naval Operations Admiral Jay Johnson. Along with large bases such as those in Rota, Spain, and Naples and Sigonella in Italy, the Admiral visited smaller support activities in Suda Bay Crete and La Maddalena and Gaeta, Italy. He also visited 3 ships at sea, amphibious ships Kearsarge and Carter Hall and 6th Fleet flagship La Salle, and stopped by USS Simon Lake in port in La Maddalena. For the Admiral, the trip was a chance to leave Washington, D.C. to observe fleet operations firsthand and speak directly to sailors and Marines.
The message that I'm conveying to everybody is a very simple one. I'm here to say thank you.
In addition to saying thanks, the CNO shared his vision of the Navy's future, upcoming technology and hardware, and reminded sailors and Marines to look ahead and not behind, or as the Admiral says, to steer by the 4 guide stars of operational primacy, leadership, teamwork, and pride.
We're the best Navy in the world, best Navy the world's ever seen. What I am asking with operational primacy as a guide star is that every one of us, whether we're in the operating forces or whether we're supporting the operating forces, doesn't matter. Every one of us needs to keep focused on operational primacy. We must stay the best operationally in the world.
Some sailors were lucky enough to see the CNO up close. A personal visit to a former shipmate.
Get some rest.
A hello and handshake for a brand new chief.
How those khakis feel? Feel good, sir. Awesome, isn't it? Yeah, that's great.
A memento for a Sailor of the Year.
It's a nice man, and it's an honor to meet him. Believe me, it is. I'm real nervous too.
Some were happy with the recognition a CNO visit brings.
We're glad that he's here. You know, we've been floating around for 5 months, and I think it makes us feel important that CNO come and visit us at this time of the float.
Others took the opportunity to go right to the top with questions or concerns. But if the sailors and Marines were enthusiastic, so was Admiral Johnson on his visit to the fleet.
I've been very much taken with the appearance, the pride, the professionalism. It's a great reaffirmation of what I kind of think in Washington, but nothing beats coming out here and seeing it firsthand. So it's been a great trip.
I'm Petty Officer Monica Hallman for Navy Marine Corps News.
That was a really good story, and you saw the way the CNO was acting out there. He was really upbeat, happy to be out there, meeting sailors and Marines and being in the Med at the tip of the spear.
Yes, he certainly does like being out there, and I noticed in that story that he had an opportunity to talk to some new chiefs. In fact, new chiefs around the world recently put on those khaki uniforms for the first time.
Yeah, that's right, and that included 21 men and women in Ingleside, Texas, where the ship USS Chief is homeported. Regina Garcia of KZTV Newswatch 10 in Corpus Christi was at the ceremony, and her report is this week's Focus on the Fleet.
It stands as a mark of tradition and honor in the United States Navy. Only a select few are awarded the title of Chief Petty Officer. Regina Garcia has more on those who were added to that list at Naval Station Ingleside today.
These sailors are considered the best of the best. They're all part of a tradition the Navy says is one of the toughest promotions a sailor can receive. Surrounded by family and friends, 21 Chief Petty Officers were pinned with their distinguished anchors.
To get to where they've gotten to, they've had to be tested, and then after the test, if they're scoring a certain amount on a test, the record goes before a board in Washington, D.C., and probably only about 6 or 7% of the records that go up there actually get selected for Chief Petty Officer. So these have really demonstrated that they're professional Navy men and women.
This honor marks a significant milestone in a sailor's career, and for one chief, this is just the beginning of more to come.
This is a real big stepping stone. The change to the khaki uniform is unlike any other service in the United States or the world.
In a ceremony that stands for honor and tradition, the Wallace family knows military life. In all, the family has given 93 years of service to our country.
It was 53 years ago today that my dad put this uniform on, and my brother did it in 1984. And I'm very fortunate that I could get it this early in my career also.
And what does his father have to say about all this?
I thought that he would, because he was a very diligent person and he worked very hard at his rate, and I was glad to see him make chief. He didn't top me. I made chief when I was 24.
A new piece of tradition was added to a historical ceremony in front of the ship named for the rank the sailors now hold. Reporting from Naval Station Ingleside, Regina Garcia, News Channel 10.
Well, USS Chief is certainly a fitting place to put those anchors on, but what a family tradition, 94 years, and his dad made chief when he was 24.
We can only hope.
Yeah, and being 24 myself, I can appreciate how hard he had to work for that.
Right.
We'd like to thank Regina Garcia and WZTV Channel 10 in Corpus Christi for giving us that story.
Now, Ron, Hispanic Heritage Month is underway and runs through October 15th. This year's theme is education and presenting good role models for Hispanic youth. Naval Station Ingleside recently welcomed a guest speaker who stands out as a sailor and a role model. Commander Michael Lopez Alegria knows the benefits of a good education. As a NASA test pilot and astronaut who has been mission commander and flight engineer aboard Space Shuttle Columbia, he has achieved something many youngsters want to do when they grow up. The secret of his success?
You got to work hard, you got to listen to your teachers, do what your mom and dad say and all that, and that's all true, but be yourself, do something that you like, and be a team player. I mean, being part of a group that can work together with others is probably the most important attribute you can have.
You know, Ron, working together is one of the many reasons Commander Lopez Alegria makes visits like these. Working with teachers, parents, and the kids, he's able to show and tell the kids he speaks to how easy it is to achieve your dreams with a good education.
Well, he certainly is a great role model. Being an astronaut, kids look up to that. It's good news we have people like that talking to the youth of America.
Certainly is. Some more good news for sailors and Marines stationed in Europe. The Fleet Post Office has found a way to expedite the delivery of magazines there.
This is good news. Now, we can get our Sports Illustrateds out there. Beginning October 1st, periodicals will be flown via Space A aboard commercial airlines contracted by the U.S. Postal Service.
Just another way Navy leadership is working to improve the quality of life for sailors and Marines. Well, when we return, Petty Officer Joe Winton of our Norfolk Detachment will join us here on the set to tell us about his visit to Jacksonville, and especially with the NFL playoff hopefuls, the Jaguars.
Don't go away.
The holidays may still seem a ways off, but when it comes to mailing gifts and packages from overseas back home to the States, you need to plan early. Sending your packages early gets your gifts there on time and brings holiday joy to those you love. Now, from overseas, send your letters and cards to the States at least 2 weeks before the holiday. Send priority packages at least 3 weeks before the holiday, and send space-available packages 4 weeks early. For more information, contact your local post office or command postal clerk. You can also find out more information on the internet at www.usps.gov. Remember, sending your packages early gets your gifts there on time and brings holiday joy to those you love.
Thanks for staying with us. Well, joining us now, as you can see, is Petty Officer Joe Winton, who just returned from what sounds like a pretty fun trip down to Jacksonville. Thanks for joining us today, Joe.
Thanks, Ron.
Joe, I understand that during your trip you had the opportunity to visit a very unique pharmacy. You dropped in on an NFL football game, so you're not the only one that gets to games. And you had an opportunity to meet some pretty talented Navy aircraft engine mechanics.
Well, you're right on all counts. It was a really great trip. On our first stop, I met Naval Hospital Jacksonville's most famous new employee.
Really? Does he like sports?
Well, I don't know, but we'll meet a lot of sailors and Marines who do in our second story. Our Jacksonville visit began with this new pharmacy technician I met. He doesn't get sick, he doesn't take breaks, and he does the work of 5 people.
A new member of the Naval Hospital Jacksonville team is changing the way people feel about going to the pharmacy. While this mechanical shipmate, called the Optifill 2, didn't eliminate any jobs, it does allow more of the corpsmen to see their customers face to face.
I think that we can see where our work goes or who it affects.
Does she have any allergies to medicine?
No. It used to be we had to wait in line and a good period of time before we could get up here to the window. And now with the number system, you just pass right on through.
It gives everybody a better sense of accomplishment in that they're helping a person that they see. The person sees them. Now we have the direct interaction, and the machine takes care of the assembly line type activities.
Customers can call in their refills to the machine's computer. The order is then automatically filled and sorted so that all of the same patient's medication is bagged together. And finally, it's double-checked for accuracy by a pharmacy technician. The next day, the order is ready for pickup at the pharmacy's drive-through window.
Patients are happy. They don't have to sit out in the lobby, wait as long. They get more one-on-one contact. I think they learn a little bit more about what they're doing, how to use their medications versus here's your medication, have a nice day.
The Optifill 2 refills about 13,000 prescriptions per month and has yet to make a mistake. This allows Naval Hospital Jacksonville's pharmacy techs to do what they do best: care for their shipmates.
To use the Motrin, for example, if the fever is over 102.
NAS Jax has the best pharmacy around I've ever seen.
The pharmacy at the Naval Air Station might be the best, but there's one thing they can't cure.
Whether it's the great weather, the food, or the football, Jacksonville really knows how to take care of its sailors and Marines.
Football fever has taken over, and sailors and Marines have got it bad. But the Jacksonville Jaguars, the USO, and the area commander have just a prescription. A new program allows military folks to attend Jaguars home games for a nominal price.
It gives a sailor opportunity that he normally wouldn't have by being able to get a ticket at a reduced rate instead of having to struggle and fight with the fans to get a ticket.
Programs,
Get your Jacksonville Jaguars program!
500 sailors and Marines can each purchase a pair of these discounted tickets and take a friend along. The only catch is that the active duty person must wear their uniform, but as it turns out, they don't mind at all.
I feel great to represent the Marine Corps no matter where I'm at, whether I'm in uniform or in civilian attire.
I'm very proud of that. You get to go out and show that you're in the U.S. military and you show the support for the Navy. I think it's a wonderful idea.
Tickets are distributed through commands, and there is even a special gate run by the USO where there is no waiting. Once inside, the excitement of pro football takes over, and this becomes a fun-filled Sunday afternoon many will not soon forget.
I just got back from the boat. Boom, the ombudsman's right there. Sold me the tickets, $6 a piece. Great, going to the game 2 days after I got off the boat.
This game ended decisively when the Jags chopped the Giants down to size 40-13. Although the Giants left defeated, Jacksonville's military community went home winners. Another winning team is the Naval Aviation Depot, Jacksonville, where years of experience are passed on to the Navy's newest generation of jet engine mechanics in a unique way. 2 engine maintenance shops, 1 military and 1 civilian, are located right next to each other, eliminating barriers between sailors and civilian workers.
Sometimes we run across, some situations where we might need like a little more in-depth experience. And most of the NADAP guys, they're like old military people, and they have a whole lot of experience, and they just come on over and just help us out.
Locating both civilian and military repair activities in the same place saves the Navy time and money, and helps pass on invaluable experience to junior sailors.
Had I had the opportunity to be involved in a situation like this when I was junior in the Navy, I would have benefited greatly from it, had more knowledge at a younger age.
Some problems we run into, we just, sometimes can't figure it out. You got a guy with 20 years experience over here. It's like a book. It's better than a book. A book don't tell you everything. It's the best thing I've ever been involved in since I've been in the Navy. It's given me more knowledge on this motor since I've been in, and it's great. It's a good program. They ought to do it everywhere.
This new arrangement combines youthful enthusiasm with years of experience, allowing this aviation depot to provide engines to the fleet with a winning edge.
Excellent job there, Joe. I enjoyed those stories. I'm sure you all did too. And it's another fine example of how teamwork is important to our mission, whether it's sailors and Marines or sailors and civilians.
You're absolutely right, Ron. And teamwork is definitely going to be a key for the Jaguars. They plan on going all the way this year.
They've got a shot. They're one of the best teams in the AFC, and that's a great deal, getting in for practically free. I got to talk to my detailer about getting orders down to Mayport.
Well, it's a great deal. You get in for almost nothing, and you get to show off your pride in your uniform to 70,000 screaming fans.
Well, Joe, those were some fantastic reports. Thanks for joining us here this week.
Thanks for having me. I had a great time.
Come see us again. Well, when we come back, we're going to have a little cyber sailor party on Navy Marine Corps News. He grabs his party hat and heads for his computer to show you how the internet can be your travel agent.
And we'll bring you all the highlights from the Navy SMU game, so don't touch that remote.
You're born, you go to school, and then one day, things begin to get interesting. Where there was once only a wall, there appears a door. You take a deep breath and walk through to the other side. Things are very different here. Now, instead of preparing, you're doing. Instead of waiting, you're moving. The stakes are a lot higher than they were in high school, because out here, the tests you're given are of your honor, your courage, and your commitment. This is your journey. It's time you got underway. Call 1-800-USA-NAVY. Let the journey begin.
Welcome back. Ron, are you afraid of the high dive?
Who said that? I am Mr. High Dive. Come on. Feet first, maybe, but
Well, our next story is about the Marines of 2nd Air and Naval Gunfire Liaison Company, and they're not afraid to make a high jump. Sergeant John Caldwell of Carolina Marines has the story.
Directing firepower on enemy targets is the mission assigned to 2nd Air Naval Gunfire Liaison Company. To arrive on scene and accomplish that mission, 2nd Anglico Marines travel on foot, by vehicle, or through thin air. Practicing one such entry technique gone wrong is what 2nd Anglico was doing recently at Camp Lejeune's Area 2 pool.
Well, it's always a dangerous thing, parachuting. Then when you add in the element of into the water, it just intensifies the danger. And we like to make sure that if in the event someone has a mishap or has parachute over them, they understand the basics of getting out and surviving.
The Marines endured a few events intended to ready them for an unexpected water drop.
The first scenario is if they're trapped under a canopy, how to find their way to the apex of the parachute, get a breath of air, and continue to find the way to the end of the parachute.
From there, the Marines climbed up onto the high dive to prepare for the next phase.
Hanging from a harness, going through the actions which they would actually do in the air, and then simulating landing and getting out of the harness itself.
The third phase was to ready them for a bad situation gone worse.
Being drugged by a parachute on a pulley system, having the parachutist being drugged, simulating that the wind's picked up and he's being drugged in the water, and him release himself from his canopy.
Their training culminated the following week when the group intentionally dropped into the ocean off Onslow Beach. That's real-world training that just might save a Marine's life. I'm Sergeant John Caldwell, reporting.
2nd Anglico putting bombs on target.
Yep, and speaking of being on target, the midshipmen were on the mark when they traveled to Dallas to face the SMU Mustangs. Check it out.
Though Charlie Weatherby and his midshipmen get more credit for the offense, this was a breakout game for the defense. It started early. Cornerback Enrico Hunter picks off this deflected Ramon Flanagan pass and takes it to the house. 28 yards for the touchdown. Navy had the early lead, 7-0. Flanagan will be seeing midshipmen in his sleep. Second quarter, Navy trailing 10-7. He rolls right from his 2, gets hit, and loses the ball. Navy recovers the fumble at the 1-yard line, setting up this Irv Dingle touchdown dive. Navy led 14-10. SMU switched quarterbacks. Chris Sanders comes in and gives the Mustangs a spark, hitting Jimmy Moore for a 14-yard touchdown pass. The extra point would give them the lead, but Navy blocks it. And when the cameraman finally figures out what's going on, you'll see Navy defensive back Charles Fisher. Charles Fisher takes it all the way back to the end zone. 78 yards for the score. Navy will get 2 points on this play, which tied the game at 16 apiece. Then Navy poured it on. Navy quarterback Chris McCoy is averaging 12 points a game. Here's 6 right here on this touchdown run. Minutes later, he had his second TD of the night. Watch the athleticism here as he leaps into the end zone. Navy led 33-16. The defense finished it off. Rashad Smith picks off this Sanders pass and takes it back for a touchdown, putting the exclamation point on a 46-16 Navy win.
Great job by the midshipmen, but I guess what we really want to know is when Navy plays Army and where.
Yeah, the way they're playing right now, everybody is trying to book travel arrangements. It'll be December 6th at the Meadowlands in New Jersey, up by New York City.
Wow. Well, if you're interested in making travel arrangements to the Army-Navy game or maybe somewhere else for the holidays, here's Cyber Sailor to show you how to do it on the internet.
Apparently, there's a few of you out there who are having Cyber Sailor parties every time I'm on the show. Now, that can be fun, but I got to give you a few tips. First of all, you'll need a party hat. Now, you get mega points if you make your own. You write Cyber Sailor right across the top of it. Now, you also need party favors, and a little confetti doesn't hurt. Let's get to the business at hand. Let's say the holidays are coming up, for instance. So let's say you're looking for a flight home, and you want a reasonable fare. So let's go to the internet. Go to delta-air.com and go to Fare Tips. By clicking here, the airline company is telling you how to get the best fares, like purchasing your tickets as early as 21 days in advance. And try different days and times for your trip. Now let's go back and plan that flight. Now here you're going to need a few things: date of departure, date of return, and estimated time of travel on those days. Oh, and of course your destination. You can even reserve your flight by credit card here at this site. Now, all the airlines have a homepage, and it can be very time-consuming going through all of them trying to find the best price flight. So, I, Cyber Sailor, personally chose Expedia.msn.com. I like this site so much that I became a member here. Look how happy they are to welcome the Cyber Sailor. Here, you can log on anytime to reserve flights, hotels, even vehicles. Here, let me show you. Let's select Flight Wizard. Here, let me show you how to search all the airlines for the best fares. Since I am a member, they already know where I will be traveling out of most. And they already have that information here for me. All I do is tell them where I'm flying to. New Orleans, Louisiana. And then put in the month, 12. Then the day, 18. Then of course the year. And then select the estimated time of travel. Oh, about 5 p.m. Now the return date, which will be the 12th month, 28th day, and year 97. And the time I want to travel on that day, let's say about 10 p.m. Now let this site work for you. Okay, here's several flights I can choose from, and as you can see, they vary in price. Well, let's go back and take a look at the first one. Wow, I can see all this detailed information about the flight. Like the layover I will have in Houston? Okay, this looks good to me. Let's reserve and purchase the flight. By selecting this button, and then entering your phone number, credit card information, and your mailing address, they will send you your ticket via mail. This site gets a Cyber Sailor bookmark. Now, it's very important that you write down these addresses or record the show. If you miss any, you can email me along with your comments and suggestions to cybersailor@mediacin.navy.mil. For Navy Marine Corps News, I'm Petty Officer Freddie Rodrigue.
Well, that's the show for this week. We'll have our Cyber Sailor party afterwards.
Absolutely.
We're always looking for your ideas and thoughts about our show. Please call our feedback line or send us an email.
The number and address are coming up. We'd like to say hello and thanks for watching to viewers in Lawrenceville, Georgia, who see us every week on Gwinnett County TV, Channel 23.
Is that near Hazard County at all? And to the sailors and Marines aboard USS Baton, the newest ship in the Navy. Thanks for watching the show. Now, before we go, I would like to point out to you, this is a sad moment for me. This is Petty Officer Lee's last show, and on behalf of the entire Navy Marine Corps News team, I'd like to wish you the best of luck.
Well, thank you very much. I've had a great tour of duty here and a wonderful 7 years in the Navy, and I'm definitely going to miss it, and everyone here.
Well, we leave you this week with another look, sorry Candace, at the Jacksonville Jaguars in one of their games as edited by Petty Officer Joe Winton.
See ya.